Hey everyone, welcome back to Tales of Fluff, the podcast where we sit down with the people behind the scenes in the animal world. The vets, the groomers, the trainers, and all the people who are passionate about animals and the work they do.
Today we're talking with a dog trainer who's been working with dogs for about 35 years. Dennis has done it all, from working with aggressive and reactive dogs to daycare, grooming, and even scent work. You'll hear how it all started with him and his dad and the incredible lessons he's learned along the way.
This one has heart, wisdom, and a few moments that might just stick with you long after it's over. Let's get into it.
We started off by asking Dennis how long he has been working with dogs.
I started working with dogs when I was young, had about 15 years of age. My dad was into dogs somewhat, and then him and I just got into it, and then we just started training dogs. So about 35 years.
Around 35 years. That's seriously impressive. It's amazing to think it all started with him and his dad just getting into dogs together. We then got straight into it with our next question. We asked him, when working with a dog labeled aggressive or reactive, how does he build their trust?
The first thing is there's a lot of training styles and a lot of training that has progressed over the last 25, 30 years with new science, new ways of looking at it, and all the new studies that have been going on. The first thing is I like to do is get the dog accustomed to the new surrounding, accustomed to me. Just let them be, but get to know me. For the first few days or week, we don't really ask or require a lot from them. Just as long as they're kind of going with the program, they're on leash and we're just hanging out. And then we slowly start to build it either with treats or with play, or even a lot of times we just sit on the floor with them and see what they do.
What stood out to me was the patience in that approach. There's no rush to correct or command, just time, space, and consistency. Letting the dog learn to trust at their own pace, that takes a special kind of trainer. And after asking Dennis how he gained the trust of a dog labeled as aggressive, we then asked him what he wished more people truly understood about those dogs. His answer surprised us, and it may just surprise you as well.
The thing that I really found is in training the dog for so many years and being, for example, at Canine Coach where we are, the city, the court system is actually sent and refers us to clients that they've seen dogs in the neighborhood that have been deemed vicious and all that. And the biggest thing is that most trainers that try to do this, they just try to think about the outward behavior. How do we fix the growling? How do we fix the biting? And the biggest thing is that I think a lot of people don't really think about is, no, we have to fix what's going on inside. We have to fix the cause. We have to understand, why is the dog being reactive or aggressive? Is he scared? Is he afraid? Is he protective? What is causing the outward behavior? And then attack it through maybe trying to fix those things such as socialization, environmental, and even some dogs, they just need exercise. They just need to get out some of their frustration from being locked up or in a house all day long.
I never really thought of it that way before, how there's so much focus on stopping the behavior, but not on why it's even happening. The way he explained it, there's usually something deeper going on that really makes you think. The next question we asked Dennis was if he could share a moment where he saw a breakthrough and knew all his hard work had made a difference. This experience that he shared was truly incredible. Let's listen to his experience.
The biggest breakthrough that I see is obviously when you're working with a dog and you notice the changes and you see the changes, but you as a trainer, you don't really know the effect. You don't really know how successful you were until, for example, I was working with a dog that had extreme reactivity. I mean, it was trying to bite people, it even tried biting me when we first met. And through training, stopped doing the behaviors. So I just thought, okay, we fixed them. It's a normal dog now. But the biggest thing was when I saw the owner a few months later, and the owner actually says to me, and says, you know what? Thank you. Because we didn't tell you this, but if you couldn't fix him, we were going to put him down. You were his last chance. Our last choice, our last chance. We didn't know what to do after you. If you didn't fix him, we were going to put him down. And now they're telling me about how they can take him for walks. They take him places in the car and the dog is fine. He's steady. And those are the big moments is when you find out, because I didn't know I was his last chance until afterwards.
Just reflecting on how incredible that experience was, working with a dog without even knowing it was his last chance. It really shows how life-changing training can be. Not just for the dog, but for the people who love them too. We then changed it up a bit, and we asked about the dog daycare side of his work. But we didn't just want to know the basics. We actually asked him what's something he regularly notices about dogs in daycare that most owners never get to see.
A lot of times they don't get to see the dynamic of how a dog really gets along in a big group, in a pack type of mentality. And one of the things that people need to understand is that, yes, dogs are pack animals, right? Yes, they do want a pack, they do want a family. But the hardest thing, getting that dog, especially some of your working breeds, some of your more dominant breeds, to understand that the pack can be extended for while they're at daycare. So it means the group of dogs that they're in, not just their family and owners. And I don't think that a lot of owners really truly understand that. To see some of your stronger dogs, like your Cane Corsos or some of your working dogs, when you see them in a big pack and they're getting along, even though it's not their immediate family. And to see that and to see dogs actually understanding how to get along in that environment is kind of amazing. A lot of owners don't see that. They don't see is that it's not just that the dog behaved. Their dog actually went against their genetics. So it wasn't that they just did okay. The dog did phenomenal because the dog is fighting a genetic trait of just being just with the family or just with the one pack member or the leader of the family. But now they're able to adjust to being in a group that isn't their pack, but it's a group. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that they're going against so much to be there.
That was incredible. I'm sure most who send their dogs to daycare never really think of that aspect. So, Dennis doesn't only do dog training and dog daycare at his facility, he also does dog grooming. We asked Dennis if there has ever been a dog that he has groomed that others have turned away, and what was that experience like for both him and the dog?
We actually had a client just yesterday. They have a small dog and they brought him in for grooming, and they've been bringing him in for the last 2 times for about 3 months now. And she actually told me, she says, you know what? I can't believe the difference. She said, we've took him to other places and he'd always come back so stressed out. And we'd get this report that he was so naughty. And she's like, I can't believe that he doesn't do that here. He doesn't behave that way. And when they take him home, he's not all stressed out. He's not all nervous and anxious. He just comes out of the grooming room and he's like happy and go lucky. And I think that's a testament to the fact that we're not just a grooming salon. We are a training facility. So in handling the dogs that have some of those reactivities or those fears, we can take the training approach to help it in order to get the proper grooming.
It felt like more than just a grooming win. It was a trust win. Knowing Dennis has been working with dogs for 35 years, we wanted to know, is there one dog he'll never forget, whether from grooming, training, or both? And what made that memory stick with him? The memory he recalls is a heartwarming one.
The first thing I started thinking about was coming up with one of the dogs that made the biggest transition, right? One that was aggressive, or one that had bitten somebody, or one that had been so afraid that it wouldn't even go for a walk, and now it goes to the park. And I always came back to a certain person. So several years back, I had a 16-year-old young lady come to me looking for a service dog. And she had some major health issues and stuff like that. And I didn't see her for a couple of years. She said that she signed up with this nationally known company to get a service dog, and they had her on this wait list for 2 years. And then they called her recently and said, hey, the puppy we picked out for you isn't going to make it. So now you're back on the list and it's going to be another 2 years. And she came back to me and she says, you know what? I need a service dog. This young lady was homebound. She wouldn't go anywhere without either a parent, and she was about 19, 20 years old. She was homebound. She didn't feel comfortable going out because of her issues, her health issues and stuff like that. Out of my breeding, got a male German Shepherd and trained it up for her service needs and the things that she needed. And she now goes hiking with just the dog. She takes the dog to the store. She takes him everywhere she goes. She even created an Instagram page just for the dog and their adventures. And yes, she still goes to the hospital a lot, and she still has the issues. When she's in the hospital and the dog is laying on her bed with her, it just gives her a different sense of safety, of strength, that this dog has given this young lady a life. She did a road trip with the dog, and she's done all these things that she once said she would never think possible. And that's some of the stories that I look at dog training that keeps me going. Now that is impressive, that the dog did that for a human being. Trained dog gave her the confidence that she can now go out by herself and live life the way that she wants.
What an amazing experience that was. You think you're just training a dog, but what you're really doing is giving someone their independence back. That dog didn't just learn commands, That dog gave her a way to step back into the world on her own terms. We knew that Dennis offered many different services at his facility, but we wanted to know, out of all the services he offered, which one has shaped him the most as a professional.
That's a tough question because I've trained dogs that are working in law enforcement. I have dogs that are doing security work, doing house of corrections, working dogs that are doing stuff for the community and stuff like that. I train service dogs, all these dogs that have jobs, that have measurements that you can take measure and see how successful they are. Where I've learned the most is training family dogs. And the reason why I love training family dogs is because when you're training a police dog or you're training a dog for that kind of work, you select a dog that already has the drive, the temperament, the want, and the desire. As a trainer, you're basically just guiding it. You're just guiding it to use all that energy in a very specific thing, but they want to do it. You're guiding it for certain things because they want to do it. But in trying to figure out every single dog you get, that the family dog, try to figure out how to fix the issues. And the dog has no, let's say, for example, no food or treat motivation. He has no ball or toy motivation. You now have to struggle and go, okay, how do I get this dog to behave and to do the things that we need? So then you have to come up with different training styles, different things to get the dog to where it needs to be. But I think some people would probably say, oh, training police dogs or training this because they help the community. But I would say that I learned the most in training and trying to develop family dogs, being able to go to the local store, local park, or the local beer gardens on the weekend with the owners instead of being left home. I think that's the biggest measurable thing that I can think of.
It surprised me at first that he didn't choose police or service dog work, but it makes so much sense. Training a family dog comes with no blueprints and no fixed motivation. It's unique every single time. It was amazing to hear about all the fields Dennis has worked in with dogs, but we wanted to focus on one in particular: scent work. So, we asked him, has a dog ever surprised you with their natural scenting ability, especially one not typically known for it?
The biggest thing about training for scent work is when you're training a dog, you just kind of find the proper motivation. I mean, you have to understand this. Every dog can already find what you want to teach them. They already know how to scent. The olfactory idea of the way that they can smell is, it's like when we walk into a pizza restaurant and we can smell pizza and all that. A dog can just smell more of the things in the pizza. So every dog has the ability to find stuff. It's just, as a trainer, it's realizing, okay, how do I motivate this dog to find it? See, that's a big thing, is how to get them to motivate them to find it. The reason why in law enforcement and all that, they use predominantly certain breeds is because, like I said earlier, those dogs have the drive to want to do certain behaviors. So all the trainer's doing is, okay, instead of teaching you to find your ball, let's teach you to find your ball with some kind of narcotic or some kind of explosive. Then you remove the ball and the dog understands that if I find this odor, I get my ball. So the motivation for the dog is the ball. It's the play. It's that kind of stuff. I've seen corgis do scent work. I've seen, obviously, the standard breeds do it. I've seen a Cane Corso do scent work. It's just finding the motivation that has them do the work on cue or on command. That's the biggest thing.
It was interesting to hear how the ability is already there, and it's more about finding what motivates them to use it. So, the last question we asked Dennis is, if someone dreams of working with dogs the way he does, what's one piece of honest advice he would give them?
Trying to get into the dog game, it's very hard to find trainers that will train you. It's very hard to find a good training program to learn from. I put together a train the trainer course that I do at my facility for trainers that's taught by me, and it's hands-on by me. It's not just online and then you try to get this and that. And trying to find that would be your best option. Otherwise, you know what? Volunteer. Volunteer at some of the shelters at the Humane Society. You have to get in front of dogs. You have to see dogs. And then you start to see the common things they do, their common behavior, their common telltale signs of no dog goes from zero to aggressive without in between. There's always something. It's always the hair, the ears, the teeth, the lips. So you learn to see those things. And then you start to study the different training techniques and the different training stuff, but getting in front of as many dogs as possible, taking your time and being willing to learn. And if you can find a trainer that is willing to work with you, that is a decent trainer, then that can obviously make things a lot faster, a lot easier for you.
Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. The information that you just gave us, you should see our faces. We're like blown away. Talking narcotics to police training to service dogs.
This was great. This was fun. And you made me think back and bring back some memories of past dogs and what's motivated me and generated me to do this after 35 years and still doing it. That's the cool stuff, is having some of those memories of what people would never even think. People always thought that I'd talk about the police dogs that catch bad guys and the fun and stuff, not about a dog that helps a young lady be able to live a normal life. That's the cool stuff.
And that's it for this episode. Big thanks again to Dennis for sharing his journey and giving us a look into what about 35 years of working with dogs really looks like. The wins, the trust, the surprises, and everything in between. And thank you to everyone who listened to this episode. We really appreciate it. And if you want, you'll find all our social media links in the description below.
Now, this is usually where people say like and follow for more. But if you enjoyed this episode, just give your dog an extra treat or a belly rub today. That's all we ask. Until next time, remember, behind every behavior is a story, and behind every dog is someone who cares.